in a way, I think one of the things that we're doing that is very beneficial is that we're throwing the New World Order globalist guys a loop every time we do this. They plan something, we expose it, and they go, oh, Christ, we can't do that. Now we got to go find something else. And if we can keep them perpetually off balance and in a state of chaos and hopefully wake people up in the process, maybe we can continue to swing the tide that we're working on here.
Well, I agree with that. Just that, what we talk about here on this program is well thought out, and that sometimes is not the case. And some of the things I see is like reading a Batman comic or something. I mean, I just can't believe it. And I have to answer. Someone will email me and say, well, so-and-so said this to you. What do you think of that? And, you got to answer the subscribers. And I'll say they're crazy.
What you need is a Ripley's Believe It or Not at internationalforecaster.com, and just, have the little rubber stamp auto thing that says, BS dismiss, thank you.
Well, the situation out there is so difficult, and you search for good news, and it's so hard to find.
I know.
I mean, you listen to the Fed or the Treasury or Wall Street business. The lying is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just beyond belief. And then when you answer them, they either don't answer or they want to sue you because they say they never said that when in fact they did.
It's fascinating, Bob. I've been following this whole unspooling of the economy here now for quite some time. And as you know, I tend to keep CNBC on. Like you, I tend to lip read. I don't want the audio in my brain because it just clouds me and irritates me. But, it's amazing. Today, they came out with great earnings from J.P. Morgan. Intel, of course, reported great tech earnings yesterday, blowouts compared to, quarter to quarter. I know a little bit about the tech industry, and I think Intel really did do a good job. They've done a marvelous job of building their product cycles, and they're having some good things happen right now in spite of the economy. But then you had Bernanke come out with the comments that he made today. You had the economic data that was, of course, spiked before it ever got out there. And the cheerleaders on CNBC today coined a new word, the quadrifecta. And I was struck by that, and I just went, and it was used in the context of the quadrifecta of good news. And I was thinking to myself, do you remember when we used to talk about government in terms of buy, as in billions? And then all of a sudden we started talking about it in try, as in trillions. And now we've got, 1.4 quadrillion dollars of, toxic debt out there. By the way, for those of you who wonder how big a quadrillion is, it comes after trillion, and it's 15 zeros. Okay? So that's a pretty big number. You and I aren't going to pay this off. No country's going to pay this off. No globe is going to pay this off. There's not enough productivity in the planet to ever have a prayer of retiring this stuff. Probably the closest we could come would be to get Rothschild and all of the other Illuminists to disgorge all their gold holdings, and I suspect that even that wouldn't get us close. Not when you're dealing with quadrillions. That's like how many atoms are there on the planet? And the thing I found interesting about that was that, how quickly this has evolved. And I'm thinking, this is absurd. We're not even dealing in the real world anymore. It's just, it's incredible how that comes. And I'm trying to think, what are they going to call it pentillions when we keep going at the rate of quadrillions? And you think it's a joke. I remember thinking about billions for federal budgets and thinking a trillion? We'd never see that. Now look what we got. And what a leap it was. And you realize the surreal level of it. And that's when you take off your glasses, you look up and you just kind of shake your head and you go, we have descended or ascended into madness, insanity, and it's beyond fantasy. There is no underpinning that makes any sense anymore. And to listen to these people in the mainstream press talk about a recovery, it's like, how can you not see Stephen King's mist coming over the planet?
Well, there's so many mitigating factors for a lasting or an ongoing or even a short-term recovery. And I see inventory figures are the highest since last July, so what they're doing, they've produced enough of this, that, and the other thing to be able to satisfy this wild, voracious demand that's going to come from the public. And I think they're going to get surprised. And because I don't think it's going to be there. How can they envision a recovery, no matter how much money they put into the system, when you get over 22% of the people unemployed? You have people now on extended unemployment benefits. Are they going to pay them forever? We had figures that came out today pertaining to loans. These are home loans. They're the lowest in 3 months from the Mortgage Bankers Association. And why is that? Well, it's because the subsidization is over, at least for now. And there's for every action, there's a reaction, and the lies just keep on going on forever, or they do not tell you what's going on. I mean, the Treasury won't tell you, the Federal Reserve won't tell you, and when you ask, they say, well, that's a state secret, or we're not going to tell you that because we don't have to, or we don't want to. And we're supposed to find out, per an appeals court decision, that the Fed must tell who the $112.4 billion went to that was funneled through AIG, and they still haven't said who they sent it to or what the collateral was.
And the bankers are in the process of filing and joining that lawsuit to make sure that data isn't disclosed. So it's not even the Federal Reserve that's the defendant in that action, or I guess at this point the appellants, since they've moved it up to the appeals process. But now they got the banks throwing all of their attorneys and all of their efforts into it. That tells
but they got to go to the Supreme Court if they do that.
Say that
sure
again?
They do. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. That's what they're after. And then they'll delay it for another 2 years until they pull the plug out of the world economy.
And then it won't matter.
That's right. And the public, they just don't get it. They don't have a clue to what's going on. And most of them are too busy making a living. I don't have time for that. I may not have a job next week. And there's a certain amount of people in America who are dumb as a bag of rocks. And every society has them, not just America. And so, you're looking at 30% of the population that, if you explain it to them, they still wouldn't understand. And so we're dealing with that. And the people who are doing all these things to us, they know that. And they're propagandizing them, they're brainwashing them on television so they get dumber and dumber. And, you've got a small coterie of people who are coming back against the program that's being presented by the Illuminati. And we are gaining. We're doing very well. But will it be good enough? I don't know. And so it's a very, very difficult road, and people have to understand that. I think this next election is going to be very, very important because If we can't get the people out of office who are in office, you can kiss it goodbye. It's all over. You're going to live in slavery. And I'm getting 10 requests a day by people, by email, asking me where they can go to live that's safe, that they won't have to put up with this crap.